Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Shimano RC300 road cycling shoes. While the Shimano S-PHYRE RC9 shoes may get all the media coverage, their high price makes them inaccessible for most people. That's where the Shimano RC3 shoes come into play with high performance features and construction at a mid-level price point. These slot above the RC1 shoes, which have Velcro straps, but below the RC9 and RC7 shoes. We have the women's variation here. As you can see, it is visually identical except for a slightly more narrow toe box. Packaging-wise, very standard cardboard shoe box with a little opening top. Basic specs printed on here and Shimano branding. We'll go ahead and take this out of the box and go over those specs. Retail price on this is $125, so very affordable. It's the most affordable dial shoe that Shimano offers. It has a fiberglass-reinforced nylon outsole, so it gives you a good compromise between performance and stiffness. You have a single BOA L6 dial, so it gives you micro tightening, and then you pull up for full loosening. It has an integrated sole and upper, so it has this interesting wraparound design that you see with a lot of Shimano shoes, so it actually is really designed to be one unit rather than just an upper and lower. And you also have adjustable cleat attachment, so it's set up for 3-bolt setup, so Shimano SPD-SL or Look Keo, with little engravings to help you position it, and a breathable synthetic upper, so you can see nice and flexible with perforations to help airflow through it. In terms of what comes with these shoes, you can see it's essentially just the shoes, a basic BOA tag here that gives you a little information on the dials, and then a big technical instruction that helps you position the cleats and has the safety information. Now let's take a look at the weight of the shoes. These are a Euro 40 in the women's variation. So it's 238 for the right shoe. Then the left shoe is 247. The Shimano RC3 shoes are the most affordable BOA dial equipped shoes in Shimano's shoe lineup. Shimano only offers these in black for the men's variation, while the women's variation gets a black with a tan inside, or the pale green that we have here. It's a bit unfair as the women's variation colors are much more attractive. And as you can see, the pale green color is a very unusual color. It almost looks like a white but with a tinge of green on it, and helps it really stand out in an otherwise black and white shoe market. You can see branding is very limited, just have Shimano on the side, RC3 printed on the top, and then that single solid color all the way around. There is no pearl finish like you'll find in the S-PHYRE. It's more of a matte design. This is the women's variation, which means the toe box is just a little bit more narrow than the standard men variation. Otherwise, the exteriors are the same, except for the color offerings. The upper material here has a nice breathable synthetic leather, so you can see quite flexible. You don't have any ridges or structure underneath it, so you can really conform to your feet, and it has this wraparound design. So you can see how this actually goes in and under. So it's a nice design that really pulls it together, so when you're tightening, you can see this whole thing kind of folds in on itself. That really helps you get a nice fit. And that's one unique design that you find in all of the RC shoe lineups. You can also see that it kind of connects underneath here and actually wraps underneath, just not visible. And then you have a single dial, which is pretty cool. So rather than placing it on the top, they place the BOA dial in the middle, and you have a crossover pattern. So as you tighten it, it tightens up the ankle and the toe box together. So it's not quite as flexible as a dual BOA dial setup, but obviously at this price point, it's great to see just a BOA dial at all, as they usually have Velcro once you get at this lower $100 price. There is also a grid pattern printed on here, which is a little bit hard to see, but you can see that glossiness. It's just a little bit of a texture on top that gives it a little bit more styling, but otherwise a nice flat color with that wraparound design. Perforations on the front, and then that little wraparound piece is also a little perforated. Underneath, you have the fiberglass-reinforced nylon sole. So you can see no fancy carbon fiber. It is less stiff than the other sole, so this actually has a little bit of give. And that actually makes it a little bit more comfortable. So if you're doing a long ride, it's nice to have that flexibility. Or if you're doing indoor training, this is really a nice feature. So I really like the nylon soles for indoor training. And if you're doing high effort sprints, you do feel that flex. So you have to pick the shoe that's right for the type of riding you do. Set up for 3 bolts, so standard 3-bolt cleats, SPD-SL or Look Keo. You can see there's these little embossings on here with lines. They're kind of tough to see, but they help you position the cleat. There is no Look memory eyelet here, so that would be a 3rd or 4th hole in the center that would keep the cleat in place. You have a toe guard here in black and the heel guard. It's a little heel bumper. It's not replaceable like it is on the S-PHYRE. It's one downside to more budget shoes. And you do have a front vent that helps air go through. If we go ahead and pull the insole out, you can see pretty nice basic design. It's just a foam insole. You have perforations in the insole for ventilation. So on the front, that matches the vent there. And if we open this up, you can sort of see that vent on the front as well. It's also this interesting grid texture here, which may be a little bit hard to see, but provides a little bit more structure and rigidity. Now let's take a look at the RC3 shoes in the wild. As you can see here, they have a nice, attractive pale green color with a premium look. Even though they're an entry-level shoe, they look much more expensive than they are, as you have the BOA dial with that centered closure system. Very minimal branding here, and you can see the offset seam on the rear. Here we have them with the Speed Play pedals, but you can set them up with the SPD-SL or Look Keo. Here you can see a top view. There's a little bit of flex on the upper material, so it does give you a little bit of space. And it has a wider toe box than a lot of shoes, so if you have wider feet, these are a great option. On the road, these have a nylon sole, so you can feel a little bit of flex. So they're not a big high performance shoe, but they're great for more comfortable rides or endurance riding where you want that flexibility. We were impressed with the overall fit. There were no pressure points or hard points with the way the toe box is shaped. So you can really ride these for long rides, but again, the flex is slightly noticeable. So if you want to do a lot of high sprints or faster rides, we recommend the RC5, 7, or even going up to the RC9. Otherwise, really nice, well-made shoe, very affordable, and they give you the combination of that BOA dial and the premium construction that you see with the higher-end Shimano shoes. Now let's compare the RC3 shoes with other shoes on the market. We actually have the other Shimano shoes right in front of us. We have the RC9 S-PHYRE. You can see a beautiful shoe with a pearlescent finish. Obviously quite a bit more expensive. It's $450 versus the $125. You can see shape-wise, they are very similar. You have the wraparound design, crossover lacing pattern. Where the S-PHYRE really differs, it has dual BOA Li2 dials with micro tightening and adjustment. So you get a more custom fit. It is a full carbon sole that's very stiff and has that same wraparound integrated design to give you more power transfer. So if you're really a high performance cyclist, do a lot of sprinting and want the best shoe on the market, then again, the RC9 is a great option if you can afford it. The other option is the RC7. So this sits in between the RC3 and the RC9. So it has a lot of the similar characteristics, dual BOA dial, crossover pattern with a wraparound upper, ventilation on the front, but you can see you get the dual BOA carbon sole and around $250, so quite a bit, almost double the price of the RC3. You get additional ventilation on the front and rear rather than just having the front. Same adjustment here, but it's a stiffer shoe. So better performance. So again, it really depends what kind of rider you are. What I like about the RC3 is obviously it's a lot more affordable, great for indoor cycling or more recreational cyclists where you don't want to really spend all your money on your shoes. For more affordable shoes, there's quite a few options. We have the Bont Motion here. It's a $100 pair of shoes. You have Velcro straps instead of the dial, which is one big downside. You can see Bont is also very anatomical, so it's wide all the way through instead of narrowing down. It looks almost like a clown shoe. It's wide all the way from the front and back. This is actually not a carbon fiber sole as well, so it's nylon, but very stiff. Really feels like carbon. When you're riding in, there's not much give versus traditional nylon soles, which have a little bit of flexibility. But the big downside is obviously the Velcro straps versus the BOA dial, which adds to the price. The other interesting option is the Van Rysel. This is the RC520, I believe. And you can see single dial, pretty affordable. It's right around that $100 price point. Single dial, and it's not a BOA dial, it's actually an E-top dial, which is actually very similar, same tightening, and then loosening is actually a rotation rather than a pull. motion. So that's the big difference. Apparently BOA must have patented the rotational design or the pull-up design, as they don't do that with A-top. Instead of full loosening is the other direction. You can see here the lacing pattern is really different. They have the top-mounted dial rather than the center dial, and then the Velcro strap on front, which I've always found to be a little bit useless, as it doesn't really have much give for your toe box. So the nice thing about the RC3 is you do have the center dial, so you get a little bit more of adjustment when you adjust that dial. But otherwise, nice pair of shoes, and you can see at the $100 price point, it's a great value. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the Shimano RC3 shoes. What I like about them is they have a wide toe box. Even in the standard width, they're very generously sized. Also, you have a centered dial system, which makes it easy to adjust the fit rather than having to mess with the dial plus a Velcro strap on the bottom. We also like that they have an integrated sole and upper design, which they carry from the S-PHYRE and higher models to give it a little bit more performance. The main negatives for the shoe is the fact that you have limited color selections. In the women's one, you get 2 options, and the men's one, you only get a single black color. And also, they're difficult to put on and take off. That center dial means the tongue portion of it doesn't really open up that wide, so it's a little bit harder to get your foot in there or take it out. Taking everything into account, we give these shoes a 9.2 out of 10. They're affordable and well made, and a very nice entry-level shoe within the Shimano lineup. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at The Sweet Cyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist, reminding you to enjoy the ride.